Okay, segment 2. Chicago's mayor and top cop trash Kim Foxx for challenging CPD's gun arrest priorities. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Kim Foxx's office did a webinar for media, for the journalists, to look at the data they have on their portal and to show them that almost very few of the people arrested for gun possession in Chicago over the last 4 or 5 years, 3, 4 years, somewhere in that range, 80% of them or higher have no criminal record whatsoever. Hello, those people are not driving gun violence. They aren't the shooters. Now you ask, well, how do you know who the shooters are? The police department knows who the shooters are. You know why? We got Andrew Papachristos' research from Northwestern, right? They know. He studies network analysis. They know who the shooters are. They know who the friends of the shooters are. They know everyone that's ever been arrested with the shooters. They know. They don't care. This has been a priority. The number of people arrested for gun possession over the last few years has doubled, or last several years has doubled. In 2013, I think, if I got the number right, it was much less than it is now. So let's take a look, okay? There's no doubt they're arresting the wrong people. Lightfoot and Brown don't care because they're doing anything they possibly can to reduce the gun violence, no matter how much it hurts the communities. They're about numbers so they can push it to the media and propagandize about what they're doing. It's not based in any fundamentals or science whatsoever. This is Lightfoot. I fundamentally disagree with that. We are a city that's awash in illegal guns. Those illegal guns cause deep pain and injury and death. So the suggestion that somehow the police department is wasting its time by arresting people who illegally possess a firearm at the height of this crisis, I just fundamentally disagree with that. Lightfoot, Mayor, you're arresting, like 80% of the people you're arresting for gun possession are not shooters. They're not someone who was shot before. They're not someone's system involved. That should seriously be concerning you, but it doesn't. That's the problem. That's a serious problem. So here's Brown. Any thoughts on illegal gun possession doesn't drive violence is ridiculous. We're less safe when people illegally possess guns. Sure, but if you're looking to reduce shootings, this isn't 1980 and you don't have the data, my friend. This is 2020. You have the data. You know what you do with the data? You target the people who are the shooters, not people carrying guns for protection, which is when you're arresting someone for illegal gun possession who's never been picked up on anything before, that's why they're carrying it a lot. And this isn't a new phenomenon. Decades past, gun possessions got tossed in court all the time. Why? Because the judge would go, do you have at bail, the bond hearing, does the person have a record? Well, no. Why are you carrying a gun? Protection, Your Honor. I live in a violent area. They'll seize the gun, they'll keep it through the ordinance and destroy it, and the person goes. This is not new. This idea that Brown and Lightfoot are spinning this as a whole new thing is just a lie. That's why gun possession arrests were so small 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago now, 13. That's why they were so small. They're getting up to like ridiculous numbers. Okay, let's go on. Case after case where we have conflict and you put a gun in someone's hands, particularly an illegal gun, you increase the opportunity for violent crime. He's right. He is right. No doubt about it. Still, you need to arrest the shooters, my friend. Arrest the shooters. We'll continue. Obviously, common sense is not so common. Referring to Foxx's office. He is a slippery bastard, this guy. We should all know that illegal gun possession makes us less safe, not more safe. And I would argue the idea of decriminalizing illegal gun possession is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my 40 years of law enforcement. Sir. It's been sort of decriminalized for people who don't have records for a very long time in Chicago. Don't act like it's new because you're from Dallas and don't know what the hell you're talking about in Chicago. You're either lying or you're clueless. Take your pick. Those are your two options, Superintendent. I go more towards the first one than I do the last one, although I think there's some of the latter one, involved in the first one. You not knowing what you're talking about is definitely a problem. Now, they turn, and let's see, where was this? This is a BEZ piece. I think Chip Mitchell did it. Now, I think he has an affinity for Thomas Needham, who's a former CPD general counsel. He is not a good guy. He's a bad guy. Bad guy. He was general counsel under Terry Hillard. He is not a good guy. And part of what Needham does is represent bad cops in front of the police board and in civil court. He's not a good guy. With that context, let's see what he has to say. Foxx has a point. Chicago attorney Thomas Needham, a former Chicago Police Department general counsel, wrote on Twitter, "The dramatic increase in arrests for gun possession is due in large part to the quota assist strategy that Brown has implemented. There are many more traffic stops for minor, non-existent violations, and each one leads to the whole car being searched for guns." I wouldn't doubt that. I think that is probably true. The problem is, this dramatic increase in guns has been steadily rising since 2013. So this is not just a Brown issue. Brown has made it worse because he's all about manipulating the crime numbers. But he's not alone. These numbers started skyrocketing before Brown. This is pure propaganda. This is pure about generating numbers and headlines about the numbers of arrests to make people feel like they're doing something. If you have a data-driven process, then you would go after the shooters, not just people illegally carrying a gun. Yes, it's not good, but in a city awash in violence, and awash in gun violence, supposedly, go after the shooters. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, why it makes sense to arrest someone who doesn't have any convictions and gets found with a gun. Target them rather than targeting the shooters. One thing is, it's easier, and you can do these BS traffic stops and find guns. So Needham isn't wrong on this one. This is much to do about propaganda.